Hello everyone, this is LEGO's Lunar Space Station set, and it is inspired by the very real NASA Lunar Orbital Platform Gateway program for the next generation of upcoming lunar missions. Now I say inspired by with a cautious inflection because there are many things about this that don't match what's actually planned for the Gateway project. But I think that the set overall is pretty cool. It has 3 major modules that minifigures can go into, and these all have removable roofs. Very simple assemblies there to let you get inside. And there's a central core to which all of these get attached. Now, by default, they don't have it set up so that you can remove these modules easily, but if you take off just one piece per module on top and one piece per module on the bottom, with the slopes on top, inverted slopes on the underside, then all of these can be pulled apart, used independently, and potentially interconnected with other modular pieces from the current space sub-theme. This largest module here is the kitchen or galley, and you can see some plants growing over there, which I'm assuming would be edible, so they'd be growing some spinach or lettuce or something over there. I've got a TV up on the wall that is showing a selfie cam of a robot that's doing some work, and this is the main oven over here, and it looks like it's set up to dish out some pizza right now. They've got a button on the outside using the dish launcher or disc launcher, and it just will push that out, and that completely left the station entirely. But anything that's a 2x2 disc can be launched out of that. It's a little bit funny how they set that up to really spring out. There's nothing else on the other side except for a couple of clips there to hold on to some minifig accessories, and there's a little bit of room where you can put some minifigures down on the floor. And this one also has the connection point, which would be like for docking, so you could attach other things to this directly. This is a habitation module, so it's got a bed on one side. I mean, remember, we're going to be in space here, so you don't have gravity to worry about much. You can have a bed on the side. That's supposed to be a treadmill right there, so you can put a figure on there and make them look like they are getting some exercise. And then you have a couple of TVs over here, so you can be looking at different things. Looks like that's a video call to somebody who's on the ground, I'm assuming, and just regular TV. And finally, this is the lab module that's included with this one. They've got another TV up there, or another monitor, I should say, which has apparently another voice call going on. You got a microscope set up there, and here's a computer, or at least there's a computer screen up top, a hammer for breaking apart geodes, and there's a light brick integrated in there so you can see into the geode. Push that button from the outside, easy to access, and it lights it up. And if you look right through it, yeah, it's just a nice effect. And I like those geode pieces, even if you don't shine a light through them. You can also have this by default, which I guess this side, closed up, so you can kind of simulate breaking it apart. There's really not much room to maneuver around in there, or to pose figures. There's just a couple of places where you can pose them, and then once you have a figure in, getting your fingers in with them is very difficult. So I don't know how much use you'll actually get out of that, but it's at least a nice idea to be able to split it without having to go in there and change things. Again, with limited access, it's good to not have to attach things to studs directly. It's a good integration of a light brick. Hopefully folks will come up with more different uses for that as well in place. So now that we've seen the main modules that crew would go into, that leaves us with this. So this is supposed to represent the power and propulsion module on the real gateway. It's really made much smaller here, but all of this will pull off and it can be used as just a satellite unit, you know, just for imaginative play. It's a little bit interesting in how it can be rotated around. That's actually not a bad look, having the 90-degree kind of cross set up. And you can also rotate these solar panels around, which is good. But it's also a little bit tricky, because if you want everything to be lined up just a particular way, like if I want all of these to be parallel, but just angled a bit, you know, because they can fold also, then, you know, it's going to take a little while. to get these all lined up just right. I'm kind of eyeballing it right now, trying to see if I can get these straight, and yeah, to my level of specificity there, I would have to spend some time so that they're not linked from side to side. I guess that's an okay look right there. But if you want things to look just perfect, just know that they're none of these things are linked together, and it's all a little bit easy to get out of alignment. Also, you can take all of this off, the whole thing. It's not too difficult to do, so you can use this by itself. This central hub isn't very useful except just as a hub. It looks like there's some hallway space in there, but in reality it's not really tall enough to accommodate a figure. I guess a person could sit in there, and you can also imagine them passing through from one module to another horizontally, but don't even think about trying to do that with the modules actually attached. So this really is just intended to be a hub. Now let me show you how that hub can really be used, because they also have this. I'll show you this more closely in a minute, but this can be connected here like so. You can put the long one here with the long one on the side. I can do something, let's say if I wanted to make this whole thing look like a deep space exploration platform that's really going to be going some distance. I think this is a good way to set it up. Yeah, this will work. Dock this right there. That's really the intent for this end. You know, that's its main docking port. And I'll go ahead and put the solar panels back on. I think that actually makes for a pretty decent look for the whole thing. Just thinking of the entire thing as one big ship. You know, going a little bit sci-fi with it. I think that works. But there's more, of course, that you can do with that with this modular system, because they have compatible modules with other sets from this sub-theme. You can connect other things. So from one of the big sets, I need to get a couple of pins here. This is supposed to suggest an Orion crew module. Give it a couple of its pins. That can be connected right there the same way. Anywhere you see these dark gray new pieces that were specifically designed to start with for this series, you know, you can just connect them right up like that. So I can connect that there. If I wanted to, I left the pins behind, so if I wanted to, I could connect these two together. Just imagine there being a crew transfer or a cargo transfer between the two. However, if I wanted to, let's say, have all of these in a line, that's not quite so easy. Now I can do this right here. I think that'll fit. If I need to, I can take the, let me just take these extra pins off. If I need to, I can take the door off. So this will work. If you get in there, there we go. That'll work. I can also remove this. But if I wanted to add another one here now, or if I wanted to add this here, it's not really designed for that. So that's one thing that's definitely missing, especially in this particular set, that I think is a bit lacking, is a way to convert one of these ends over, to attach one of these onto this. You have to do some customization if you want to make a nice longer space station in that way. However, since you do have this one nice docking port there, I do want to demonstrate something that a bunch of viewers have actually asked me to do. I went ahead and bought 2 of this set, and I built both. So let me get those 2 extra pins again. This is actually attached backwards here. Let's fix that. Fix that right now. Nope. Got that one extra inverted tile. There we go. Flip this around the way it's intended to be, and I am going to remove that hatch for it. A couple of Technic pins. Of course, everybody has spare Technic pins, but they do give you enough in each set to connect one more thing. And there we go. I can start to expand this out. That's a good look. The more of these modules you put together, the better it looks, to me at least. But you do become more and more constrained, more and more limited as to what you can add after that. Like this doesn't have a connection point. No connection point here, or over here. So if you want to do this sort of thing, do expect to need a little bit of customization, you know. Maybe even adding some of your own pieces, but mostly taking these end parts apart to allow more attachments. But I do like this. I really like this system. I like this look here in particular, and of course there are other ways to arrange the modules, but it's pretty cool and it's pretty easy, even without changing anything, without any modification, just buying additional sets. Here's an easy example of a more symmetrical layout, just playing around with some possibilities. There's one that puts all the solar panels on one side. Again, there are no docking or dockable modules right now, because you do need to, if you don't want to rebuild anything, you do need to have one of these longer modules facing out so that one of its ends, it's the only double-ended one of those ends remains accessible. And here's more of a funky configuration that turns and twists in weird ways, leaves one module behind, but this shows you just how easy it is to do some sorts of attachments, at least to the hub. So rather than using one of these power modules attached right there, it is going to be fairly easy. I mean, there's no connection in between there for figures to think about, but it'd be fairly easy to just remove a couple pieces from here and then make your attachment just across the roof. It's not going to be as sturdy, but make the attachment across the roof like so. Put another one underneath, and then this is workable. I don't have all the pins in there on all of these, but just again showing you more potential options. This little shuttle is very limited in what it can do. I think it looks kind of cool, but it will only hold one single person. It does have a little bit of cargo space as well for transferring samples that have been found on the moon between different craft. Just that top tile comes off, and there's just a tiny little space in there you can drop something right in. And that's pretty much it. It's got the suggestion of engine and some thrusters on the back. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The figure does have to sit back quite a bit. They've got a console at the front, which is using a sticker if it will focus. There we go. And yeah, that's it. Pretty simple. I should take a moment to acknowledge that this does appear to be using the newer style of clear plastic that's not quite as hard nor as clear as what they used in previous years. And in my experience so far, it is a bit easier to scratch. So I didn't scratch that, it just came like that from shipping. Scratches do occur, but they seem to be a bit easier with this newer plastic, which is very unfortunate, especially for folks who like nice crystal clear windows. Here are a couple of suited up astronauts with two different styles, a little bit more protected there on the left, a little bit more agile and lightweight on the right. Very different styles. Got the new helmet on the right and old style of visor, but in a new color. And on the left, that's much older of style for this entire upper part. The print designs are pretty much the same, with just a little bit more shading added to the one on the right, and of course different colors. Here are the other two minifigures, and they are out of suit, or just in their regular day suits for working inside the station, where you don't need any pressurization because it's already pressurized, and you don't need artificial atmosphere because there's already artificial atmosphere inside the station itself. These have identical torsos, which is ideal if you ask me, and they just have two different styles of faces. They needed to include at least one face that looks like the figure is sleeping because they have a bed. So one of these people can sleep at least. Also on the set is this little guy, just a robot. Looks like it's intended to be able to fly around, so rather than including a proper robot arm, they just have this little build. See, the idea is that it's got thrusters, a lot of thrusters on the back. So I don't know, this feels incomplete to me. I suppose you can stand it up if you want, but just as it's designed, it's even modified like that, it still feels a little bit lacking to me. These are the spare or leftover pieces for this set. Not too many of them, but fortunately among them is an extra of the printed 1x1 round tile, so you can make a custom robot. And if anybody gets one of these sets and makes an extra custom robot using this piece for the face, I would like to see it. Post up in a comment or at me on Twitter. I would like to see, and I'm going to try to do some of my own too. Overall, I'm actually not as happy with this set as I was hoping to be, or as I was expecting to be. There were a number of things about it that let me down. This whole section back here feels a little bit wobbly and wonky and doesn't work all that well. I wish that things were held together a little bit more securely and were easier to line up. The modular system with this module right here works great, but with the others it doesn't, because these are terminated. You know, they have walls at the ends. I understand the need to do that, but you know, for the interior detail, but it takes away so much, not being able to just add and add and add. I want to be able to line up all of these modules. What if I want to just have a long spaceship with this at one end and maybe the solar panels at the other end, and the other modules just lined up? You know, that potential existed, but it was wasted. It was not realized here. So that's unfortunate. You know, there just aren't that many options. Basically, out of the box, you can do that, but if you want to start doing too many, or start doing noticeably different things, you need to add more or do your own customization. And this is the set that was really going to be all about the modular system and attaching the modules in different ways and making the most of it, and it doesn't. That said, if you are willing to do customization, if you have your own pieces especially to add to this, it is a good starting point. And honestly, it won't take too much work to add a whole bunch of these together to start creating a whole sprawling, huge station. But when I look at a set, I look at it mostly by itself. I refuse to assume that most people buying a product already have a whole bunch of stuff to add to that product to fix its issues or its shortcomings. So I will always focus on what you can do with a specific item and without doing, you know, heavy modifications of your own. And from that perspective, this definitely leaves a fair bit to be desired. It is not as good as it should have been. Also, the suggested retail price of $60 in the US feels like too much. I think if they had fixed some of the minor issues with this, the easy to fix ones, and made the modules more useful and made this a bit more sturdy up here, then I would begrudgingly be okay with it. But as it is right now, definitely not. This is not worth presently the sum of its parts. If the sum of its parts costs $60, I think the sum of its parts right now should be more like 50 at most. Now, if you want to see how the entire set went together, you can check out either of my build videos. I've got one that's in real time, so you can see the entire thing as I built it, or you can check out the speed build if you just want to get through it more quickly but still see the entire process. Whichever one you choose, thank you for watching. I hope that all of this was of some use to you, or at least some entertainment. I'll talk to you again as soon as I can.